All right, guys, so you guys sent me two videos on the same topic, so we're going to go ahead and condense the video here, guys, all right? Apparently something is about to start happening in Venezuela, potential covert action. That's going to be interesting. I don't know how we're going to do that, but I'm sure we'll find out immediately, like specifically without causing like an international incident, but let's jump into it.
Trump administration is reportedly set to launch a new phase of operations against Venezuela in the coming days, apparently aiming to overthrow dictator Nicolás Maduro.
It comes as the U.S. ramps up its military strikes against the alleged boats in the Caribbean.
Lucas Tomlinson is in Trinidad and Tobago and joins us now with details. Good morning, Lucas.
Tobago.
Tomato,
tomato.
Or the island of Trinidad. That works too. Good morning, Charlie, Ainsley, and Brian. New warnings from the FAA have canceled several flights from several foreign carriers to Venezuela after American F-18 Super Hornets, spy planes, and bombers were seen flying off the coast. And now Reuters out with a new report saying covert action could begin soon inside Venezuela. This comes after a month after President Trump authorized the CIA to conduct those operations. And here's from Reuters. Two of the U.S. officials said covert operations would likely be the first part of the new action against Maduro. The options under consideration include attempting to overthrow Maduro. Now, Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro has remained defiant. Yesterday was his birthday. Late last week, he attended a public rally with college students, attendance likely mandatory. Rachel Campos Duffy interviewed Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who, like Trump, says Maduro's days are numbered.
I completely trust the strategy President Trump is developing and his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. They know very well with whom they're dealing with. I believe that Maduro will get a very clear picture of what are his options and what's the future for Venezuela. Maduro started this war. President Trump is ending this war.
Should President Trump order strikes against the Maduro regime, there's plenty of firepower in the Caribbean to do it, with about 30% of all deployed American warships, including the aircraft carrier Gerald R. now on station. There are over 200 Tomahawk cruise missiles in theater aboard destroyers and U.S. Marines aboard the USS Iwo Jima and other amphibs in the Ready Group. Now, ahead of Thanksgiving, the U.S. military's top officer, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Raising Cane, arrived in Puerto Rico yesterday to meet the forces who were part of Operation Southern Spear. So with General Kane in the region, we'll have to see if Secretary Hegseth follows suit ahead of Thanksgiving. And one thing officials have said is some of this buildup in the Caribbean goes beyond the Maduro regime. It's about getting Russia, China, and Iran out of the Western Hemisphere, guys.
And how is that not in our national interest?
That feels valid, actually.
Thanks so much, Lucas. A lot of firepower. And look, we can't spend a lot of time on this. There's so many big stories today. But just check out the Wall Street Journal. They talk about the headline is South America is turning more right-wing and getting Trumpier. What they're doing is more and more are electing, from Chile to what we saw in Bolivia, more electing Panama, electing more and more conservatives. Even the guy in Brazil is in trouble. So it's not healthy to be against the president. What he wants to do is not dominate these countries. He just wants these countries not to be dominated by China, Russia, and Iran.
Okay, that's valid. That's valid. That's valid. You can't start putting out like messages and posts specifically of covert action is about to starting because now they know, right? Like they know to be on the lookout. So I don't know why you would, put that out to the public information, like to the public sphere here, right? And obviously the CIA works in all these countries, guys. Let's just be honest here, right? I mean, you probably didn't have to say that out loud. But now I'm trying to think about how exactly you can topple a literal government, right? In a foreign sovereign nation without the ability of like causing an international incident. We definitely do not want Libya again. Let's just start right there. We do not want Venezuela to turn into Libya. But I don't think it actually will if it gets toppled. Let's just say this here. I'm also not like a staunch advocate specifically of regime change neither. So we're gonna have to see where this goes, guys. I'm sure this is gonna be definitely very interesting. I don't think that it's gonna be any type of like direct, like actual like military invasion, because again, they have a lot of soldiers, bro. They have a lot of militias there also, bro. And the only thing that I would probably predict here is that there's going to be a lot of things done from the water. All right, we absolutely dominate that area specifically, so you're gonna have to like lob things from the sea, bro. That's it, because entering into those jungles, specifically in like the middle part and the southern part of Venezuela, that's going to be very interesting. We don't want another Vietnam either. All right, so like this. There are a couple of issues that I'm having specifically, but hopefully we can kind of figure this all out here. I do think that the people of Venezuela absolutely deserve a leader that has the ability to lead them specifically and not being exclusively the interest of themselves, right? Because now we're actually talking about like a literal dictator, bro. And that's not to the benefit of anyone. And it's also not to the benefit of us in any meaningful manner. Not saying that another sovereign nation by default needs to be of the benefit of another, sovereign nation. But the fact is that the fact that Maduro is in fact in place, kind of how he is causing the people of Venezuela specifically to start running north, and that is affecting us. So we need to fix the main problem. Not saying that specifically, again, Venezuela is the main problem, because for some reason we're not talking about Colombia, but I'm sure eventually after Venezuela, we're going to be talking about Colombia, because I think we have to. Okay, because if you think Venezuela is wild, look at Colombia. Okay, just like look at them immediately, my boys. Hold on. Let's go ahead and jump to the next one here. It's probably gonna make some
joining
noise.
me now.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Let's jump to the next one here. Same topic.
How to explain why Americans should care about what the Trump administration might be doing in Venezuela. Let's head over to the head of the Future of Venezuela initiative at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, Ryan Berg. Ryan, thanks for being with us here today. First, do you think that's what's happening? Are we embarking on regime change in Venezuela?
Good afternoon, Will. It's great to be with you. Thanks very much for having me on. Certainly, I think that the nature of this mission in the Southern Caribbean seems to be evolving. Bringing the USS Gerald R, the carrier strike group that's just arrived last week, to the Southern Caribbean seems to me to be one of those moments where we've crossed a Rubicon, Will. You don't bring that kind of equipment into the region unless you're intent on using it. It's expensive. It costs about $6 million a day. Had to move it across the Atlantic. There are options that are on the table now for the president, which involve strikes against Venezuela, which he may well greenlight in the coming weeks. So this is no joke. These are real options that are on the table. That said, Will, I will say that I think the president is trying to do this in a way that is as bloodless and as easy as possible. He says he has something that he wants to talk to Maduro about. I imagine that's the moment, Will, for the ultimatum. Now is your time to go. You can negotiate your exit, and that's your option.
All right, to the point of the strike carrier group, the aircraft carrier headed to the coast of Venezuela, it also seems unnecessary to battle boats or cartels. So it does seem to indicate something much bigger is brewing in Venezuela. Now, maybe there is a way to thread the needle, as you mentioned. Maybe there's a conversation to be had. But if there is not, or if Maduro does what he has done for quite some time and rejects that opportunity, what happens? What do we do? Do you anticipate? Is this drones? Is this aerial strikes? Is this troops on the ground in Venezuela?
Well, the administration says we're entering the next phase. So they've, as you outlined in your intro, they've designated the Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization. They've said that the CIA is going to be active in the covert space, conducting psychological operations as well. There were news stories about potential leaflet droppings that could be coming soon. But if these things fail to dislodge Maduro, there's a real chance here that the United States will greenlight strikes against targets in Venezuela. And the question at that point, will be, are these targets that are purely aimed at some of those criminal organizations that we know operate out of Venezuela, or are they targets at the nexus of the state-criminal relationship, which we also know exists in Venezuela?
Oh, yeah,
if
large
they're
scale.
The latter targets, those are the types of targets that have a real chance at creating a kind of change of regime in Venezuela.
Okay, Ryan, I'd love for you now to explain to me. I would imagine, and it's no insult to the viewer, or to the average American, but I don't know that they could name the leader of Venezuela. Perhaps that Nicolás Maduro's name is out there enough that everyone is now familiar. But I think it's very fair for the American public to think, why is this important to America? That's not to reject the idea that it is important, and it's certainly not a defense of Venezuela. But when we're talking about marshaling American forces, American money, potentially danger to Americans, why is it important for us to change Venezuela?
Well, I think that this cuts to the heart of President Trump's agenda in Latin America. The priorities, as I see it, are threefold. First, migration. Second, and third, China, and to a lesser extent, Russia. In Venezuela, you have all three of those issues present, and all three of those issues present in a major way. I think that's why the focus has been so intently on Maduro, the opportunities that he provides for China and Russia to project power just 600 miles from the U.S. homeland, the regime's participation in trafficking which kills Americans, and the 8 million Venezuelans who have left that country because of ruinous economic policies. I think this hits on all of the issues that the president cares so much about, and why he, frankly, is refocusing U.S. foreign policy on the Americas, because it matters to everyday Americans what happens in our shared neighborhood.
Okay, guys. Okay. I get the gist of this. So, guys, if you guys have been following for a while now, at least, I've kind of pointed out the fact that when Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were in office, they were actually trying to do things in the Southern Hemisphere. They definitely were. It just wasn't working. Like they were trying to treat people in other areas with different cultures and different ways of life and different things that they wanted out of life. Let's just say this year, like they would treat people who didn't have all these motives in life, let's just say this year. And so when you were trying to throw money at South America on all these ridiculous programs that were never going to actually help anyone, right? Trump, in return, in his opposite, right, is saying, we're not going to do none of these things, okay? Because what ended up happening here under Kamala Harris and Biden is, though they were there, they were in fact there, guys. Let's just not, it just didn't come out to be anything, basically. But they were there. Right. And what we saw in America was an influx of millions of people hitting our borders still. So it didn't matter what they were doing here. Right. Like, truthfully, but they were there. Right. Now, here's the thing. In terms of Trump is like, I'm not going to do any of that weirdo nonsense you're trying to do down there. Okay. Because you're not fixing the problem. Right. The same thing that the left does, specifically in like a lot of our like super ghettos in America, by talking and saying, hey, let me put my hand on your shoulder. OK, you just need me to coddle you so you can stop ending the life of people, that are as impoverished as you, basically. Right. We need to be really nice and gentle with you so you understand that people are good. Bro, that person, you're talking to a criminal. All right, put that person in jail. I don't care why he did it. He did it, right? But that's not the point. Okay. And while Trump says, you know what, hold on, I'm gonna come with a stick. All right. Meaning the National Guard is going to now enter into these cities, and we're going to go ahead and fix some things because the talking is not working. And I think that's basically what this all, like the crux of this all is. Like, if we unpeel everything right down to its base elements for the most part here, what we are encountering, in fact, is that, guys. Right? Trump is going with the stick to these countries and saying, no, we're done with this. Right? We're not going to back down. It is what it is here. I'm not going to sit here and coddle you. I'm not going to talk to you. The fact that you are in this position is negatively affecting the United States of America due to all types of the oddball nose candy type of things, and obviously criminality from brand new street fraternities that are popping up in the United States of America, that are coming directly from Venezuela and other South American countries. And then also at the same time, an influx of people running from the countries that are being ran into the ground, basically by these cartels, guys, basically, or people that have been funded by these cartels. So yeah, Trump is going down there, and I back the whole idea of absolutely finding a way to literally stop this. If he's sending the National Guard to American cities, what do you think? How hard do you think he's going to go to these foreign nations? How hard do you think? This makes all the sense in the world, bro. But I'm still trying to figure out how we're going to do this here. If you're going to class specifically these cartels as like, you know, the big bad guys, let's say, then that makes all the sense in the world, because I think you can then change the classification. But now if Maduro somehow has the ability to get attached to that classification, then things change almost immediately, because now you're telling the world basically that you have now classed the leader of a state specifically as bin Laden, basically, and they're going to go get you, bro. So if you change the classification, I think that's where you can kind of force Congress to specifically, you know, have to approve some certain things. And again, I've always said this here, I'm not in the concept of regime change specifically, but if it's done, I think not in a Libya way, then I guess it is what it is to save people, bro. And the reason why is because generally that doesn't really help a scenario. It doesn't help anyone. It helps the country that enacted, let's say, the regime change in some meaningful manner, but it doesn't help the actual people. And if you want to actually stop the influx of immigration, illegal immigration specifically to our country, then you're going to have to make it so the person that is going to be taking over that country kind of is, how do I explain that, guys? Like, is for the people, for their people, not just our people, to the point where they're like working at a full-blown, like within, I guess, a detriment, let's say, if that's what I'm trying to say here. Everything is live, guys, apologies. But you can't make it so the person that has taken over the brand new country that has just been toppled is only working in the benefit of us and not them, because then they are still going to leave. You get what I'm saying here, guys? I think that's the overall point I'm trying to make when I say these things. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. And again, guys, I'm on Twitch every single day, except for Sunday and Monday. But, well, so 5 days a week. Either way, I'll catch you guys later. Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to like promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies, and I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings, and we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry. Right? Listen, like and subscribe.